gosh, I'm so excited to hear. I'm so excited to hear.
I'm excited to be here too. This is really big.
Yeah. So you have been. Oh, there's a bit of an echo. I'm hearing myself. I don't know. Does it sound like you can hear an echo on your end? No.
No,
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay, that's weird. Okay. Or moving on. So you have been in the Facebook group, the main one, right? The big 45,000 member group for a while. And I've seen you in there
About a year.
a bit. Yeah. But you're very active in the group, right? You're on, I see you on the Wednesday One ad posts. I see you on the Promo Mundo posts. I see you in Author's Corner. I think I see you in the After Dark group too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was super excited when we set this up for you to come on because I've seen you so many times, but I haven't had a chance to talk to you and get to know you. So I was just really excited that we have this like time today to do that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I've actually only been publishing for just over a year.
Yeah.
Weird story. I was actually in a car accident and I broke my ankle really badly and I was on bed rest for almost a year.
Oh
And
no.
I just stuck in bed and I had the TV and my own thoughts and that's it. And so by the time I was able to start getting out of bed, I could have about 20 minutes up and then I just had to get off my foot. I could not stay on my foot.
Yeah.
And I took that to sit down. The only thing I could do was sit at the computer and write. And I've always wanted to write. And so I just started writing the stories that had been going through my head when I had nothing else to do.
Yeah.
So
you just did it. So, we hear people say all the time that they want to write, but they just don't know how to start. And I think that's definitely a silver lining, right? Coming out of such a terrible experience, really. So
I had so much guilt before of, wasting time instead of being productive or something else. And you know what? This is something that I can do that no one else can do because no one else has the stories in my head and theirs.
That's right. Definitely. And, we all have stories that we can share. And it's really cool that when people finally, get that extra confidence or that time or whatever to actually start, doing it. And that's like what I love to see in this group is all the different authors and all the different ones that, we've got authors that are just starting out. We have authors that have, been doing it for a while. We have authors that are like on the bestseller list. Like they're all like areas of the spectrum. And it's just so cool to like talk to them and understand, like what you just said, that story of like how you got started. So it's pretty cool. So, well, tell us about your books and your genres and like what you write and why you write the genre and what books you have out right now.
Okay. So big questions. So I do urban fantasy. And I write shifter I could say shifter romances, but honestly, there's a lot of world building and they're very plot heavy. They're not so, they're about 50% romance, 50% real, lots of stuff happening story, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So more like action oriented plot line. And you still have the romance aspect, but it's not heavy on like the spice.
Yeah, I run about a 2 spice and about a 2 dark on average. Books vary a little bit. And for trigger warnings, if I haven't hit your trigger, I will. Don't worry, I'll get to you. Hit them all, I guarantee it. So my first book was just supposed to be a one-off.
Right.
I saw this thing that said all these werewolf books get it wrong, instead of this big, strong, manly alpha coming in to dominate everybody. Werewolf packs are actually families. They would be the family with 10 kids roughhousing on the lawn whose parents are, a little crazy and embarrass their kids and just are really easygoing. And I thought, that's what I'm writing. That's what I've got. And then the other thought that had been going through my head was, what if a werewolf didn't know they were a werewolf? And so that was my first book.
Lift it a little higher so we can see the bottom of it.
Finding the Wolf.
Finding the Wolf. Okay.
And it's basically, there's someone Vara has just aged out of foster care.
Right.
And she's trying to make it on her own, new adult stuff. And the first night in her new apartment, she runs into this guy at a restaurant, and he's trying to get to know her and going a little fast to be comfortable. And on her way home, a stray dog starts following her. And the stray dog starts coming over, and then at other times the guy's texting her, and it's very much, you've got a werewolf who's just met his mate, who has no idea what any of this is. And a lot of the book is from her perspective, though I write in third person. And I write in third person because, honestly, when I read the books that alternate perspectives, I get confused and go back, wait, who's saying this? Because it really makes a difference who's saying this.
Yeah. Some people love multiple POVs, some not so much, some people love, so like I was at the authors panel at FFB last weekend in Manchester, and Donna Grant was talking, and she was the only author, I think, on the panel that wrote in third person, but she just, she really explained kind of like why, traditionally a lot of books were in third person, right? And it's a newer thing that we're doing first person. And there's just a lot of people that still really love that. And I see readers all the time that will say, oh, it's first person. Oh, I wish it was third person, or vice versa. So you just got to write what you enjoy, and what you love.
So I have a non-omniscient narrator.
Okay. So explain what that means.
So what that means, omniscient means it's all-knowing, and you have the narrator who can sit and go, this is what's happening. But like my narrator still knows only what the person that I'm talking about knows. So if I focus on, like a section, a chapter, whatever, I'm focusing on a person. And as I said, the first book is almost exclusively Vara's point of view, but other books go back and forth. And that's because Del knows she's a werewolf and she doesn't. Right. And I have to keep that, her not knowing, instead of jumping into him knowing. So like if someone doesn't know a name and it's from their perspective, I will be calling it the red-haired woman until they find out the name of the person that they're seeing.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
They won't be able to read other people's feelings when it's from their perspective, but when it jumps to the other person's perspective, so it's kind of like the best of both worlds, in my opinion, where I've got the emotions and the insight, but I don't keep getting confused about who I is at that time.
Right. So, well, so I like to read the books ahead of time before I do the spotlights, ideally, right? So when I'm talking to author, I've read their work. With FFB going on, I haven't had the chance to read all books from all three authors, right? But I did pick up the one that you recommended today. Yes. So I started that actually over lunch, and I read just a little bit, not far into it. But what I can say is that, sometimes you pick up third person POV writing and you don't ever forget that you're reading someone narrating. Like you never, and I think some of the people who don't like third person, it's because they're constantly being reminded that they're being narrated. I didn't get that sense from you. I got a sense that, I just kind of fell into it and I forgot that it was third person POV. It was very natural. And I think from what I read, it was really well written. I didn't go far, but I could tell, I was like, okay, this is a third person POV that, cause I typically prefer first, that I could read and have no problem with. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I just wanted to kind of give you that compliment, at least from me.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. So yeah, my books, every single book has different couples. Every single book has a happily ever after. There's not book cliffhangers, but every single series has a long story arc. So you've got individual trials and challenges and bad guys, and a lot of body bags. for every book. But you have one big major big bad evil guy that the whole story, the whole series is gearing up to get rid of.
Right.
So the first series is Volksemia Haven, because the werewolf family that I was talking about, it's the Volk family, which just means wolf in Russian, and Semya means family. And they're given their pack name by some Russians who joined the pack. They have kicked themselves out of packs. They've gotten rid of packs, and they just live as a family. And now that they've got grandchildren growing up who are having their own families and their own children, it really becomes a pack, just a family pack. And then the second series, Blood Moon Haven, is still the same family. It doesn't continue the same story arc because you've gotten rid of the big bad evil guy, but it's the same people. So you'll see your old favorites, your friends, the ones that you know, they're still running around in the background doing stuff as they meet new friends and new people who all find their mates and create this continuing haven.
Right. Awesome. Well, that's cool. Well, I definitely got, I know we need to wrap up because we have to get to the next author. We're supposed to only be 5 to 7 minutes. I told you it goes by fast, doesn't it? It goes by so fast. But I could tell when I was reading a little bit today that you've definitely done some world building. Like you've definitely built a world, and like what you just said in Russian, you know, like it was, you've definitely done your homework. And I already got a sense of that with the very little bit that I've read. So that's cool. So, okay, awesome. Well, thanks for taking a second to talk to us. I'm going to bring on Katie Fraser, but stick around because I think what we'll do, guys, is we'll bring everybody on at the very end, all the entire panel, right? So stick around. Thank you, Lorelei. Okay.